Okay, let's see what we got here. No, not back. Okay. Interesting. Yes. Back. Okay. All right. So in that brief interlude, the bird dog is still in startup mode, so we're going to restart it again. And that's HDMI coming into it from an HDMI converter, SDI to HDMI converter. And let's see. Looks like the number of you that are watching on YouTube is not very many. So I think you need to refresh because we be streaming. Up to 13 now. There we go. Okay. Still not seeing Giles, huh? That's no good. How many are not getting the show? Looks like we've got 30 in chat and only 12 watching. Okay, you refreshed and got the stream back. That's good. All right. After multiple refreshes, feed from the website is live. Thank you, Timothy. I still show only 8 people are getting the stream in YouTube. Maybe the rest of them went on lunch break and don't even know that they don't have a stream. All right, Kenny's watching fine. Mike L sees the feed, but Chatwing is bad. Okay. Henry's YouTube says 15 are watching. All right, I'm up to 14 here. But as you can see, the bird dog is in startup mode. Let's just see if it shows up here in vMix. NDI. Yep, it shows up as an HDMI camera, but there's nothing there. Let's try a refresh again. And we'll refresh the internet and refresh the HDMI. Let's see if we have any better luck there. I'm converting SDI to HDMI. Yes, that's correct, Kenny. And actually, I did that last week, and it worked just fine. And in fact, the show that y'all watched earlier today was SDI converted to HDMI. So we know the converter's working. But the bird dog is not connecting. It's showing up on the network right there, but it's not receiving a video signal HDMI. Why am I converting? Because when Edward sent me the bird dog, he said it was configured for HDMI. And a minute ago we were running SDI into it, and we were not even getting a connection here. Now we're getting a connection. It's just not doesn't have any video in it. But we can try the SDI again. But right now the bird dog's not even starting up. Let's see. Let's try one more time. We'll give it a little bit of extra time to let all the circuitry go back to scratch. Did I plug the power into the back of the camera? Yes. Good question. Thank you. All right, let's fire the bird dog up. And we'll just not plug anything else into it and see what happens. The camera that is, nothing is sending to it right this second, Kenny. But we've been sending the Marshall to it all this time. The one that I used for the show today. So we know the cam is working. The guys at Bird Dog say it works out of the box. Yeah, and you know, Edward had it and had it working, and sent it to me, and I had it working, and haven't changed anything. And right now the Bird Dog doesn't want to get off the startup screen. John suggests choosing the input and select OK if even they're in a picture. Yeah, we did that. It didn't make any difference. Giles says, well, it's probably started but not configured to say anything on its display. Well, generally it will say Cam 1 when it's up. When the Bird Dog is fully booted, it will say Cam 1. Oh, there is a reset switch. Well, let's try the reset switch. The reset switch is on the side adjacent. Oh, there it is. Okay. Well, maybe not. Let's see. Ah. That's a tricky little reset switch. That's the reset switch right there. I don't know if you can see. that at all. But let's reset it and see what happens. Okay, 10 seconds on the reset switch. And let's go back to power. We'll give it the 30 seconds that it asked for here. Let's see. Possibly vMix 20 related. Well, probably not at this point because nothing is connected to it. Not even a camera at this point. I used a paper clip to reset it. Did you update to vMix 20? Yes. Yes, this is vMix 20, the .26 version. .27 is just out. Michael Graves, bird dog not hunting. No, it's not hunting. It is just a dog. That's right. Rebooted without hooking up to anything. The only thing hooked up to it, Timothy, is power. Let's get past startup before we do anything else. According to the directions, it says booting up your BirdDog Studio NDI. As the Studio NDI progresses through its boot up sequence, it will display startup. Once the boot cycle is complete, it will display Cam 1 by default. Please note BirdDog Studio NDI should boot up and be ready for operation in approximately 20 seconds. If it's taking longer than this, well, okay, here's the problem. If it's taking longer than this, it may be because it's unable to acquire a network IP address. Well, let's plug in the network. Okay. Did somebody else just said that? Giles said it will need the network cable too. There we go. All right, so we got network cable plugged into it. All right, and Edward says when reset to factory, the BirdDog will default to SDI. When I got it trying to get the dashboard using serial number didn't work, I used the IP address. Giles says it may need another reboot if it timed out. Let's try that. Okay. We'll give that another try. And thank you to Marie. She says, Tom, is the network cable connected? There you go. Now, when I did the reset, what is it called? The network configuration reset, I did not have it plugged in. To activate the reset function, simply insert a paper clip and depress the reset switch for 6 seconds. Okay. Well, let's reset again. That's a reset, but it didn't appear to change anything, did it? I'd like to see if I can't get into it on the network, but I need the network address. Okay. Edward says no, it does not. Edward, is that a question I asked? Let's see. Okay, Numbers Guess says may pay to scope the other end of the network cable. Well, it was working earlier, but that's a good point. That's always a good point. Let's see. I just plugged and unplugged the network cables just in case. We can try another cable here in just a second. You guys like the paperclip idea, I can tell. Yeah, I guess we can try a different cable. But that one was working earlier. But it never hurts to eliminate every possibility. All right, Timothy says possibly log into the router and see if it sees the bird dog. See if the router indicates a DHCP request from the bird dog. Well, I would do that, but I wouldn't have a clue how to do it, gentlemen. Oh, there we go. It popped over to cam 1. So there we go. Let's see. Might have been a bad cable. Let's see if we get lucky and just plug HDMI into it. Although Edward said it defaulted to SDI. Let's see if it configures itself. Plug and play. Cam 1. And we will go back to this shot for a second. NDI, HDMI. Look at there. Bad network cable. Plug and play. That's right. No problems. It was a piece of cake. It was easy. Okay, so we've got the Marshall cam going SDI to SDI to HDMI converter, and then we're going out that HDMI to the bird dog. Bird dog is going over a new network cable into the router, into the switch, and available here as a source in vMix. Pretty good latency too. Let's see. Yeah, let's put, let me show you this shot. And then I'm going to put that shot in. That's the shot of the camera. Okay. So we'll put that shot. Can you tell it went green? So it's telling me that I'm now in program. And let's see, 55. Hang on a second. We'll come back to the yeah, that'll work. Okay, so I don't know if you can see the green very well, but it should change to red when we go to this shot. Yep, there we go. You can see it right up there. Back to red. And then when we go back to that shot, it goes back to green. Basically green saying that the bird dog is in preview now. And now the bird dog is in program. And the flickering that you see is just in the camera. It's not on the display of the bird dog. So there we go. And the stream died. Huh. Look at there. Buffering. Okay. So do you guys see me and hear me? Check 1, 2, 3. You see the bird dog up here. It's in preview. No, excuse me, it's in program. Now we're going to put it in preview, and it'll turn to green. Don't know if you can see the green very well. Let's see if I can lift it up. Yeah, it's not a very noticeable green. That's a little bit better. You can see the reflection on it. And as we cut and put the bird dog's camera in program, the bird dog changes to red. So that's the tally light. and it's working over HDMI now. You can see the green, the red. See it change from one to the other. That's pretty cool. All right. All right. So what's the moral to this story? Persistence and lots of advice. All right, you had a quick offline just after you connected to the BirdDog. I wonder if I disconnected the wrong cable. Could be. So if you mount the BirdDog up high, you get a built-in tally light. Yes. Yes, and Dan said last week that the BirdDog, if this was the BirdDog, it's got the ability to plug in to here and here to a, what is that, a quarter 20, eighth 20, and that they were working on a way to plug in here. So I guess it would mount on top of the camera and would be a tally light. Yep. Kenny says, Tom, can you hook the Marshall up to SDI at the same time to vMix? The picture is a bit faded now. Would like to see the SDI feed. I can't do that because I've only got one input right now on this PC. And it's HDMI. That's why I was converting everything to HDMI. So I might be able to set up something like that in the future, although I know Edward wants his he wants his BirdDog back before we break it. Does the BirdDog have an SDI out? Yes, it has SDI out. It has HDMI out and SDI out. HDMI in out, SDI in out. Currently, they don't work simultaneously, but supposedly there's a firmware upgrade coming in the future that will allow you to plug in both HDMI and SDI from two different cameras and have two different NDI sources available. Timothy knows where I can get some input cards. That's good. Actually, I've got a bunch of them. They're just in a build right now. And I can't borrow them from that build. All right, so Giles is sorry, Dave. Kenny can't do that. You better be careful, Kenny. Kenny says you should check this before you send it back. The picture you had on the show was a lot better. You know, the picture I had on the show, I had gone in. Well, let's see. Let me take you here for just a second. I had gone into the color adjust, and I had done an auto white balance for this shot, and I had tweaked the saturation for a little bit. I mean, let's do the same thing and see if we can. Helps if you have a piece of paper that has some white in it. Okay, there's the auto white balance, and I think I tweaked this guy up about to 8 maybe. Okay, and that's the shot. That's close to the shot I had before, but see if that fixed it, Kenny. Michael gets his from third-party seller name omitted. Don't omit my name. Kenny says the colors are what I'm having issue with. That may have fixed it. Okay. We'll see. And again, the colors are changing depending on the lights that the camera is picking up. So Curious that we dropped the stream twice. That's odd. Colors are still not as vibrant as show. Well, I had a little bit of saturation too, I think. How about that for vibrance? You want vibrance? I'll give you vibrance. That may be more. Michael Wilson, he's on to me. The only card I've got was from Eastern Shore Broadcasting. Next one will be 2 because I love Magewell. Magewell's good stuff. It is definitely good stuff. I mean, you pay for it. Why did the Cam 1 display go away? Because the tally light function took over. Now, if I take, I'm going to take the bird dog, which is this shot on this camera is the bird dog, and we'll bring that here. You can see the bird dog is now green because he's in preview. If I put something else in preview, like the webcam, you see the bird dog has gone back to Cam 1 to indicate it's no longer in program or preview. Giles thinks the bird dog is doing an excellent job, but the camera needs total manual settings. Agreed with that. That's the nice thing about a camera in a studio, is that the studio is going to have the exact same lighting every time. So you set your camera on manual, you make a record of what the settings are. As long as you don't unplug anything, your settings will remain the same. And that's why I think this is going to be a great little studio camera. Number one, it's not very big. You can put it anywhere. You can use duct tape. How's the lip sync here? How is the lip sync? Because we're coming with a SDI to HDMI converter, and then we're going into the bird dog over IP to vMix. So, curious on that one. Michael Wilson says, me. Makes no sense, Michael. I think I hit a sharp edge somewhere. All right, Numbers says perfect lip sync. Sync is good. Okay, so I didn't change the sync at all, even though it's going through a converter. Of course, it was going through a converter before. The only thing extra we added to it was the bird dog. So we didn't have to make any audio delay adjustment when we added the bird dog to the setup. That's important if you're mixing and matching. If you're concerned about lip sync and you're adding an NDI resource with other resources that are coming over a SDI or HDMI capture card, is there going to be a cause for concern? And the answer is, doesn't look like it. That's good. That's good. The price of the cam, Timothy, is $499. Retail, SDI, or HDMI/SDI. I've got the SDI ones here. That's the one I'm using right now. I'm testing it. I've ordered the HDMI/SDI ones also, and those were on back order, so they're, they'll show up when they show up. I think that might be the better value because it has both, but I want to see how it operates. See if there's a, if it has SDI only for the same price as HDMI SDI only, is there an advantage to the SDI only one? I mean, is there better quality or more features in the camera? What is it that makes the difference? If that's the case, if there is none, then just get the dual version all the time, and that way you've got the built-in flexibility. But we will be probably, I mean, these are available now. I don't have them in my store yet, but if you're interested in one, send me a email and I can make you a deal. but we'll probably have an introductory special on those. See, we're not allowed to advertise anything lower than the minimum advertised price, what they call the MAP. So I can't advertise, I can't say on the stream a price that's lower than the MAP, and the MAP is $4.99. But if you send me an email. All right, Michael says, I've had far less, I meant it's fine for me. I've had far less need to manually sync audio since he switched to the Behringer UMC 404. Agreed. Maybe coincidental, but it's something I've noticed all the same. Giles says BirdDog latency is certainly no worse than SDI direct into PC. BirdDog is certainly a realistic workflow, even combined with legacy SDI. Yeah, there's about a frame difference. I did a latency test on it a couple of weeks ago, the week before Dan came on, and picked up, well, maybe it was 2 frames, picked up about 70 milliseconds. If you figure a frame is, you know, what, 33 milliseconds at 30 frames a second. So 66 would be 2 frames, and I had about 70, so it was, you know, 2 frames. But 2 frames out of 30, you might not notice. 4 frames, you probably would notice. Okay, well, that was fun. Wasn't as easy as I'd hoped, but it was fun. And I would try the SDI, but I don't have an SDI interface right now on the PC. So there you go. And network switches will influence latency too. That's right. Michael Graves says 2 frames I can see for sure. Yeah. And 2 frames was comparing SDI to NDI through BirdDog. And that was taken, actually it was using the PTZ Optics camera SDI output and IP output to the BirdDog. So it was actually on the same camera. Kenny says, thanks for doing this live. It's like, whew, if you didn't know how I was sweating. But that's, you know, this is real life. This is real life. What do you do when things don't work the way they're supposed to work? You keep trying. You keep testing. Apparently, I had a bad cable. I have to go back and check. It worked the other day. Great show, says Michael Wilson. Thank you, Michael. Giles, I really think most people will not see the difference. Sure, we might notice it, but 99% will not. Michael Graves says, decades of editing made me very sensitive to sync issues. Oh, I bet. I bet. I used to edit, not video, but I edited text. And so that has made me very sensitive to punctuation issues. Lots of people don't know. In fact, it's different in the U.S. and Canada, U.S. and Europe, U.S. and Australia. There's some, you know, the difference between a quotation mark and where the period goes. In the U.S., the period goes inside the quote. The rest of the world, it's outside the quote, apparently. All right, very good. Michael Wilson says, oh, wow, you must hate me then. No, Michael, you're young. You're young. I don't have the same expectations of you that I have of Giles and Jerome and Dave and Kent, Timothy, Mike Latta, Kenny, for example. Kenny, oh, he's just, it was fun. All right, guys, we're going to wrap up here. I've got to get a package to UPS that has to be in Atlanta tomorrow. So, and Gerald's here. Okay, we can start the show. Sorry about that, Gerald. We are just now wrapping up. All right, guys. Well, I will see you next week, and I'll give you the heads up on what's going on as soon as I figure out what next week's show is going to be. And for those of you that hung in here to the very end, that's cool. Thank you very much. Yeah, he has expectations. Indeed, indeed. That's right. Because you're retired now, Timothy. All right, Daniel says, great show. I may be emailing you about those cameras. Tom at easternshorebroadcasting.com. We're here. All right. Later, guys. Appreciate all of you.